Hey guys, it's Jensen. So a couple weeks ago I did the BookTube newbie tag and I mentioned that I really like to read romance novels, and I got a couple comments on that video from people saying they would like to read more romances. They just would like some recommendations for where to turn. And so I thought it would be fun to share my favorite romance author, Sarah M. Eden. Sarah M. Eden is a writer of historical romance novels. Her novels are beautifully written and funny, and the characters leap off the page. You really feel like you get to know them, and they're very endearing and you just love them. And her stories are deeply heartfelt. There's a lot more than what's just going on the surface. The characters really have struggles and trials that they have to go through. And so she's just one of my favorite authors in general, because she knows how to write characters that you can relate to and that will touch you. And so I wanted to share her books with you today and see if I can introduce you to a new author that hopefully you'll like. So before I get into her books, I just wanted to do a quick disclaimer that I'm going to be talking about a couple series today. She has a couple books that are part of a couple of series, and they are all standalone novels, so you don't have to read the books in order. If there is one that sounds more interesting to you and you don't want to have to read the other books, you don't have to read them. But it is highly recommended that you do read them in order, because it's a lot of fun that way, because characters that you read about in book 1 will show up in later books, and in book 2 and book 3 and so on. They'll show up in later books and you get to catch up with characters that you love, which is always fun and something that I really love. So, also, I just really quickly wanted to also do a disclaimer that these books are clean historical romances, so if you are looking for something that's more smutty, these might not be for you. There's just kissing, and that's basically it. But without further ado, let's get into her books. So the first series I'm going to talk to you about today is the Lancaster series. The first book that I read of Sarah M. Eden's and the first book in this series is Seeking Persephone, which is a sort of Beauty and the Beast type retelling about this woman who is offered marriage to, or she receives an offer of marriage to this very infamous duke who is horribly disfigured and is known for his temper. He is desperately looking for someone to provide him an heir, and he's willing to pay her family a fortune and basically provide for her siblings, and her family is destitute, and so she is desperate enough to take him up on this offer. And they start out, it's just the Beauty and the Beast retelling where there's misunderstanding. He seems very cruel, but then as they get to know each other, they start to fall in love. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story, and I really love it. And also, Adam the Duke is like one of my favorite characters. He seems really abrasive at first, but once you get to know him and once you peel back the layers, he's just a great character, and he's hilarious, and I love him. So that's the first book. And then the second book is Courting Miss Lancaster, which is about Persephone's sister Athena. She is in her first season, and she is looking to find love. And Adam's friend Harry is assigned to help her find a suitor and sort of set her up with different suitors. But he is secretly in love with Athena, but he is also struggling financially and knows that it could never be. So he just decides that he makes it his mission to, help her decide what she wants and doesn't want in a husband. And this is a very comic read. It's just very funny, all the mishaps. And so this one's really cute and really sweet. And then we have Romancing Daphne, which is about Persephone and Athena's younger sister, Daphne, who she believes she's sort of the uglier of her sisters. She believes she's not very pretty, and she's always been kind of left out because she's the youngest, and she finally gets to have her first season, and she believes that she's not really going to find anyone. But then this man comes back into her life who she admired when she was younger, but and he sort of starts to court her, but not all is as it seems, and he's sort of being manipulated into courting her to protect his family. This one's really good and deeply emotional, and the romance is really, really, I don't know, it's really sweet, but it pulls at your heartstrings at the same time, because these two people, you can tell they want to be together, but there's just misunderstandings and on the man's side, feeling like he is betraying her by being forced to court her. And anyways, it's good. It's really, really good. And then the final one is about their younger brother, Linus Lancaster, who is a loving Lieutenant Lancaster in the Royal Navy. And he is sort of being forced into by his sisters into trying to court women, and he meets this girl who is a companion for this very wealthy family, the Jonquil family, who I'll talk about in just a minute. And she's sort of in a weird place because she's not as high up as the people she's associating with, but she's also not a servant, and they start to fall in love. Really cute, beautiful cover. I know that the covers at the beginning aren't the best, but they do start to get a little bit better, I think, and then get really pretty. So that is the Lancaster series. I told you them in order. So Seeking Persephone, Courting Miss Lancaster, Romancing Daphne, and then Loving Lieutenant Lancaster. All great books. I definitely recommend at least Seeking Persephone, because that one is such a beautiful, beautiful story, and the way it ties into the traditional Beauty and the Beast story is so much fun. So yeah, that's that series, and now I'll talk about the next one. So the next series I'm going to be talking about is the Jonquil Brothers series, which is a lot of people's favorite series. It basically follows each book follows a different brother in the Jonquil family, which is this very noble family. And they're great fun. So the first one actually has nothing to do with the Jonquil brothers. It's The Kiss of a Stranger. It's sort of the Jonquil series number 0. It is about Lord Cavrat, who is a great friend of the Jonquil brothers and is basically an adopted brother. He is trying to avoid this woman who won't leave him alone, and really desperately wants him to marry her. And they're walking around in a park, and he sees this servant girl and decides to get rid of this other woman. He's going to kiss this servant girl to get rid of the other girl. But he doesn't know that the servant girl is actually a noble woman who is dressed like a servant. And he is forced into marriage with her by her very abusive, horrible uncle. And as they're trying to annul this marriage, they start to get to know each other and start to fall in love. It's really sweet, really heartbreaking, especially with Catherine, the girl. Her story is really heartbreaking, what she's had to go through in her life, and it's really touching. And I know that the setup sounds a bit problematic, but it is sort of like a Pygmalion, My Fair Lady, or, a Pretty Woman type story, where it's sort of the girl gets set up with this very rich man, and suddenly she starts to come into her own, which is really nice. So if you can get past the sort of problematic beginning, it's a really sweet romance, and I really love it. The next one is probably my favorite of Sarah M. Eden's books. It is Friends and Foes, which is sort of like Pride and Prejudice meets Scarlet Pimpernel. So it's great. It follows Philip, who is the oldest Jonquil brother, who is a duke, or earl, sorry. He's an earl. And he's also secretly a spy, and so he sort of puts on this persona as a sort of dandy so that people don't know about his secret life as a spy. And his life gets more complicated when it gets tangled up with Sorrel Kendrick, who is this sassy heroine that I just love. She's so great, and she's got her own struggles that she's dealing with. She is physically handicapped because of a horse accident she was in when she was younger, and so she has a bad leg. But she doesn't let that stop her. She's got a lot of bite to her, and they at first don't like each other, especially because Philip puts on that sort of dandy persona, but then they start to get to know each other, and it's the classic Pride and Prejudice where they're foes and then they fall in love, and it's great. I love this book. I should probably read it again before I say for sure that it's my favorite of hers, but it is up there, and it's been a while since I read it, but I remember it really fondly. Then we have Drops of Gold, which is about Leighton Jonquil, who is a widower, and this, what's her name? Marion comes to work for him as a governess and starts to try to bring joy into his and his daughter's life. And it's just a really lovely romance. And it's interesting because there's a lot of serious issues going on. I mean, he is a widower, he is still grieving. But the romance is really delightful, and Marion is a great character who she's not so rose-colored glasses. She doesn't always see everything as beautiful and charming, but she does try to bring joy into the people she's working for, their lives. And I think it's been a while since I've read this one, but I think she also has a sort of haunted past, tragic backstory that she is trying to overcome. And they come together. And I love this cover. This is probably my favorite cover of hers. It is gorgeous. So there's that one. And then we have As You Are, which is about Corbin Jonquil, who's very shy, but an amazing horse breeder. He works with horses, and he can barely speak to women, and he runs into, what is her name? Clara Bentford, who is a widow and trying to escape her sort of her past. She's got an abusive past she's running from, and there's a lot to overcome because Corbin is really shy, but he's such a sweet character, and he just loves with his whole heart. And so this one is really cute and really touching, and I really liked this one. And then we have A Fine Gentleman, which is about Jason Jonquil. This one is really funny. He works as a I can't remember the word I'm looking for, but basically he works with like legal papers and stuff, helps with inheritances, that kind of thing. I guess a lawyer, but not really. I can't remember exactly the word I'm looking for. But anyways, this girl from Spain, Mariposa, comes into his life, and she's really funny because she puts on this act and makes him feel like he's stupid, and he's a very serious man, and basically she's trying to find her lost inheritance after Napoleon's War, and so he sort of agrees to help her, and their romance is really fun because they sort of have to, their barriers have to get broken down, and they have to get to know each other because it's sort of a abrasive beginning, but it's really cute and it's hilarious. And then second to last one, we have For Love or Honor, which is about Captain Stanley Jonquil, who what does he do? Well, he fights in the King's Army, And when he was younger, he and Margie, were so in love and they were committed to each other. And she's waiting for him to come back and for them to pick up where they left off. But when he comes back, he is a changed man, and he's sort of cold and abrasive towards her and seemingly doesn't want anything to do with her. But she's determined to help him and to get her Stanley back. And so this one's dealing with some really difficult issues because these are people who already loved each other and have to find that again. And you're dealing with someone who's been through a lot of hard times in the war. So this is beautiful. Sorry guys, the audio got caught out a little bit at the end of that. So I'm refilming this. The angle is probably a little bit different now, but we will move on. I just wanted to show you real quick the last book in the Jonquil Brothers series, The Heart of a Vicar, which is this is one I haven't read yet, but I am really excited. It came out like a year or two ago. I'm really excited to pick it up because I love Harold Jonquil, who this is about. He's shown up in the other books, and he's a very serious sort of character. He works for the church, obviously from the title The Heart of a Vicar, which has always been his sort of ambition, and he sort of sees it as his job to keep his other brothers in line and morally right. And from what I gather from the back cover, this is sort of a persuasion type story. At one point, he was in love with this girl, Sarah Sarval, and this was a few years ago, and they realized, reality kicked in. They realized they couldn't be together, and so they broke things off. And then they meet up again, and she's not looking forward to seeing him. But when she meets him, she's surprised by this sort of cold, aloof character. It's not the man that she knew. And so she wants to help him remember who he is and his sort of passion for what he does and why he wanted to go into the church in the first place, I guess, from what I gather on the back cover. I love this cover, and I'm really excited to pick this one up. I haven't read it yet, but I just figured I should show it to you guys since it's not the last book in the series, actually, because I think the last book, she just turned it into her publisher. She announced on Instagram. I think it's supposed to follow the Jonquil brothers' parents, their love story, which is exciting. So yeah, I am looking forward to reading this one, and it looks really cute. So anyways, that is 2 of Sarah M. Eden's series. She has a few other books that are standalones or books that are other parts of other series that I haven't read yet, but I look forward to reading them. But anyways, those are 2 of my favorite series. Thank you so much for watching this video. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and I'll see you next time. Bye.